Welcome to another episode on Awaz-e-Haqiqat, which also translates to the voice of truth. I am your host, Chris Malika Bhadra, and today or tonight, depending on whichever part of the world you're listening to me from, I'm joined by a very special guest who's joined me all the way from Adelaide in Australia. And we are going to be talking about multiple things today. It's a very power-packed conversation, and I was really looking forward to having this chat with her. It's about how do you deal when you have children who are on the autism spectrum? How do you deal with the fact that while taking care of the family, the mothers are often forced or they have no choice but to keep themselves on the back burner? And how do you deal with all of this stress while being a mom, a woman, a houseworker, someone who takes care of the entire threshold of the family, but has no time to take care of herself? So it's a very power-packed conversation, maybe a trigger warning to any one of you who wants to listen to it further. At any step of the conversation, if you feel like this is triggering your mental health, please take some time to step away from the conversation and do what you need to do to kind of ease yourself. Having said that, it's my pleasure to introduce my guest, Pooja Trivedi, who's, as I mentioned, joined me all the way from Adelaide. Pooja was born and raised in Dubai. She did her schooling in Dubai and then moved to Mumbai, India for higher education. She's a sociology graduate and she moved to Australia in 2015 with a husband and then one child. But now she has a teenager who's 14 and she has twins who are 7-year-old. She's worked in the telecom sector in Australia and now is a full-time mom since 2017. On that note, Pooja, very, very good evening. Thank you for joining me. How are you doing tonight?
Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and I'm doing great. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be chatting to you, Pooja. When I first heard your story, Pooja, on that telephone call, I was thoroughly inspired. Like in and out, I was inspired. And I was wondering, I even told this to my mom that, this woman sounds so amazing to me because of all the stories that you've told me. And then we will get to share it with the audiences later on. But you mentioned that you have an autistic child, right? So the first question is something I would like to start from there is, what are the three main areas of concern for children with autism?
Yes, Chris, you're right. I do have, I do have autistic twins. So that makes it, double trouble. But the areas of concern that I would like the listeners to look out for and also to know is when children have autism, they have really hard time regulating their emotions, first of all. They are scared sometimes of loud noises. Their understanding of situations is very different from normal children.
Right.
Their perceptive knowledge is very different from normal children.
Mm.
They have a hard time socializing, hard time making eye contact. They could also have I would say they have a problem with receptive language and not the understanding of the language. So they might understand what you're saying, but the way they bring it out is different. The way they express their language is different. The output is different. Yeah.
Absolutely, Pooja. So this kind of draws a segue into the next question that I have for you is, what do autistic children struggle with the most? Like you said, you have a pair of kids who are autistic, right?
Yeah.
And then therapy obviously comes into play. So what is the role of therapy while you're dealing with a child who is autistic?
So, to answer the first part of your question, Chris, the struggle mainly that I find is, look, first of all, autism is like a rainbow. Okay, it's that's why it's called the autism spectrum, because it's got like many different colors, and you could be either end of the rainbow, you could be any color or any color in between.
Right.
So there's no one thing that defines autism as such. Now, my twins too, they are on very separate opposite ends of the rainbow. So one of the twins has problems with like social cues. He will have problem like oversharing his information. He will keep talking. He doesn't understand the other person's body language as to when to stop or when to pull back, or even how to join into play with other children.
Right.
And one of the twins, because he had an injury from birth at the hospital due to unfortunate circumstances, he has been nonverbal because of a physical limitation and not because of the autism.
Right.
The autism has given him superpowers. Like he's great at math, he's great at languages. He already does 3 different languages.
Wow.
So you see, like autistic children can also be like genius level.
Yes.
If I tell you the CEO of Apple is autistic, okay, like I can name hundreds of people that are autistic that are at a genius level. So it takes away something and it gives you something. Like the role of therapy would be like for children, especially for children who are high functioning, which means that they can do day-to-day things,
Right.
is to enhance those skills, like, brushing your teeth, hair, hygiene, understanding social cues, joining into play. Like if you go to park and if some kid says, "Hey, can you play with me?" Sometimes children with autism will not even know what to do. Like they just stand there and they'll not know how to join in the play, like what to do next. So therapy teaches them, especially like therapies like occupational therapy,
Right.
teaches you how to join into play, how to play, what are the rules, what comes one after another, like what to do next. It teaches you self-care, like when is the toileting time, when is the bathing time. Uh, um, the OT, that is occupational therapist, will make like a visual schedule, for
Right.
children, so that they love to follow rules and they love things. They love to know what's coming next. They don't like surprises.
Right.
They're not come to, they like to know what's coming next. So if I say, okay, it's going to be mealtime in 5 minutes, they expect it to be mealtime in 5 minutes.
Okay.
So it's pretty much like that. So I would say that therapy also puts strategies in place by which, like, a caregiver like me or a family member and everyone can follow the same strategies around the house. So, for example, if I have to say that, okay, look, now it's time for meal and then it's time to brush your teeth and go to sleep. So everybody has to be on the same page in the house that, okay, because they will try to push your buttons. They're like any normal children, try to get out of doing things and stuff. But it's so important to follow the schedule because that fits in their framework and they understand schedule.
Right.
So that's what occupational therapy does, and speech therapy enhance their skills of communication, be it verbal, be it non-verbal. There is sign language. Then there is, if a child on the autism spectrum is like completely non-verbal, then there's something called a lamp device, which is given to the child, which has lots and lots of symbols and lots of schedules to follow and add in, so the
Right.
parents can like a program as well. So the therapist will tailor the therapy as per the needs of the child, because, like I said, everybody's different. Sometimes you also need physiotherapy. So there are three main areas. One is therapy, physiotherapy, and occupational therapy. There are three therapies that play a major role in, um, you know, giving the life skills that children with autism need.
Right. Right. Pooja, before I move on, there was something that you mentioned that a child can also be completely non-verbal, right?
Yeah.
In case of a girl, right, when she's about to hit puberty and then menstruation happens, how easy or difficult is it to explain that child what she is about to go through? Have you ever had those incidents around you, or do you have any information that you can shed light on?
Look, Chris, that's a very good question. And I would say that it's a very, very tricky thing to handle, especially for mothers and especially for that child itself.
Right. Yeah.
Because depending on her level of understanding of the problem, she may be non-verbal, but at the same time, she may be high functioning. If she's high functioning, then she will understand what's going on, but she'll not be able to express what's going on.
Yeah.
But if she's not high functioning and if she has other disabilities like learning disability or, limited understanding of the situation and nonverbal, then yes, it's going to be extremely challenging for the family. It's going to be extremely challenging for her as well, because first of all, it's so scary, even as a normal person, normal teenager, to understand what's happening to your body. So, like, I can just imagine the struggles that a child with autism will have to express themselves.
Another sub question in this, Pooja, is have you started teaching your kids about good touch, bad touch? And if you've decided that you will teach them, have you devised an alternative way so that you can teach them in a better fashion so that they can intercept it better?
Yes, I have. I have started teaching them, and the school has played a very big role in actually teaching my children the good touch and bad touch. And even at home, we practice like the safety circle. So you are in your safety circle. So it's like in my case, it would be me, my husband,
Right.
my older one,
Yes.
because he helps with most of the dressing ups as well, sometimes, pulling on a nappy and things like that. Then your grandma, your grandpa, and your dad, and anybody outside of this circle is still a little bit safe, but you have to always maintain your privacy. Like, the caregivers, like my children, they get helpers, or carers who come take them to appointments
Right.
sometimes, help me to take them to appointments. So I have to also include them in the safety circle because sometimes they may need to take the child to the toilet.
Right.
But at the same time, we have explained to them that you need to maintain your privacy. You don't undress in front of them. You don't undress yourself in front of anybody except for the safety circle. Always close the door. Make sure that your pants are pulled up when you come out. It is initially really hard. He made, like what I said, the visual schedule.
Right. Right.
Like, first pull your nappies down, do your wee wee, flush the toilet, wash your hands, and pull your nappies up, and then come outside the door. So this visual schedule was made by the OT and stuck in my bathroom.
Right.
It was stuck in, like, their school bathroom as well, for them to kind of remember.
Remember, yeah.
Tags were made to put on the lanyard. You can make tags and put like what they want to say. All this comes in with therapy and with speech and things like that. You can work out a plan with a therapist, and she can include what your concerns are around your child in the therapy itself.
Right. Yeah, that's very informative, Pooja. But coming back to, I just wanted to ask you about the first time. How did you first identify that your child was autistic? And in general, for the listeners, what are some of the initial telltale signs to hint to a parent that a child might be on the spectrum?
So yeah, that's a very important thing to actually understand, because there are red flags. Look, I have always been interested in children who, even before I had my twins, actually, to understand children who have autism or children who have special needs. So I was aware of the signs because I have read about them before I had my twins as well.
Right.
One of the signs, some of the signs that I will mention here to look out for. First of all, they can be different for boys and for girls. Okay. So for boys and for girls, some of the common things is, first of all, delayed language. So if you find that your child is not at par, like by the age of 2, if he hasn't started talking, he or she hasn't started talking, then that is a sure short sign of autism, or it could be language delay. Now, how do you know whether it is only autism or whether it is only language delay? If it is autism, then you will also have these other signs like hyperactivity.
Okay.
You have fixations. Fixations, like, the child will be very interested in things that are going round and round, or child will be very interested in just one particular nursery rhyme and wanting to hear it over and over again. The child will not involve the parents in the play. Like, how children say, oh, mommy, come be with me, or, let's go to the park, or the child loves it when the parents are involved in the play. This child with autism usually wants to play alone.
Okay.
They are in a world of their own. They might be fixated with Lego blocks. Lego blocks are a favorite thing for autistic children. They have little to no eye contact. They will cry when strangers come to your house. They will be very clingy, very disturbed when strangers come in, because they don't like anything outside the routine.
Right.
They don't like anybody's faces that they don't know. They will be, okay, another sign is when they start eating food, they will be really fussy eaters. They may not try anything that is outside the safe foods, what we call safe foods.
Right.
The safe foods for autistic children usually tend to be one particular color. Let's say brown. So nuggets, fried chips, potato chips, stuff like that. Okay. So if you notice this kind of signs, then you can consult your GP, tell them about your concerns, and then they can kind of refer you to a pediatrician for an assessment. Once the assessment is made by a pediatrician, which is not an easy path, it is a very long way to do it, but at least you will have the diagnosis, and then you will have the help. You'll have the help in terms of like therapy and NDIS and stuff like that, because that is the pathway to do. And the sooner you recognize it, and you know what, Chris, here I would like to say to the listeners that the first thing to do when you actually see the signs is acceptance. because most parents, they go into a denial mode.
Yeah.
Even if, like, I know from my personal experience, a friend of mine, I could see that her child has autism. From the time he is 8 months old to about a year old, I've been telling her that, look, this something's wrong, something's not right. Can you please go to a GP? She agreed with me, but her husband did not. And she's like, look, he's just in denial. He doesn't want me to go. And I said, but you go, because your child, and the formative years, which is from the time they are 1 till the time they are 5, if they don't get the help of the occupational therapist, of the speech therapist, it becomes really difficult to turn things around.
Right.
Especially in cases of mild autism. In cases of mild autism, it is very easy to smooth sail them around with all the therapies and things like that. And they can even go to a proper normal school, a regular school.
Right.
So it's really important that you accept things first. And being who we are, Southeast Asian people, it's really hard for us to accept that something's wrong with our child, especially if it's a boy or even a girl. I mean, yeah, so that's one of the main things. So like I said, emotional regulation, the eye contact, the fixation, the inattentive behavior, the hyperactivity, the delayed language, all these kind of signs are something that points towards all. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you for your, that was very well explained. Now I want to come to you, right? As a mother, as a woman. So you suffered a major heart attack while caring for your child and your family, right?
Yeah.
As South Asian mothers, why do we often, because I've heard this from other people, I've seen my own mother, grandmother, and all sorts of stuff, that why do we often keep ourselves at the bottom of the pyramid when it comes to taking care of ourselves, our mental health? Is this a societal construct, or this is something we just deeply ingrained in us?
Yeah. Chris, I think this is something that is in our DNA. For, like, I can say that this is something that we have seen, like you said, we have seen our mothers doing it, we have seen our grandmothers doing it. It's just in our genes. We have to do it. We always put ourselves at the bottom of the pecking order. We don't look after our health. Knowing that we have health issues, we ignore it. And we think that, okay, you know what, मैं ये कर लूं, बाद में मैं खाना खा लूंगी, मैं ये कर लूं, बाद में मैं ये कर लूंगी.
Right.
You don't take your meds in the morning. Sometimes you don't take your breakfast in the morning because you're rushing, you're packing tiffins, you're packing. It's really like that. But it's what I would like to say to all the women out there is, actually, when we are running on empty, there is no way that you can fill somebody else's cup. You will never be able to do that. And I remember running between, because like I said, my one twin who had that unfortunate accident in the hospital, he was in hospital for 6 months of his life. So imagine, I had one baby at home, one baby in ICU in the hospital, and another boy at home. And I'm running between them, with my breast milk and this and that and all kinds of, like, so I would not even get to my dinners till like 11:30, 12 in the night. And then my husband and me, we are cleaning the house, we are preparing for the next day. And then when he came home after 6 months, he came home on such high medical needs that I became like a nurse at home. And because he was non-verbal, अभी अगर बच्चा रोएगा नहीं तो आपको पता कैसे चलेगा कि उसको क्या चाहिए, So I have to constantly keep an eye on him 24/7. So no sleep, no rest, nothing. And me and my husband started doing shifts, like, like how it's at the hospital. So literally, it was not just for me, but as well as for my husband, it was extremely stressful times. We came through it, but we do need to look after ourselves. And this is a lesson that I've learned the hard way. We tend to forget. Because, see, the situation is going to remain what it is. You are not going to be able to change the situation. You can at least make it better by doing that one thing that you want to do, maybe go for a walk, listen to the music that you want to listen to. Those things are really important. Don't forget that. Don't lose sight of that.
Thanks, Pooja. But one thing that often comes to my mind is, like, you and I are sitting in a country which is at least a little bit better than where we come from, right? Here we have a lot more platforms, medical care is sometimes more affordable, accessible. But imagine a situation similar to yours in probably India or, country like Pakistan, where it's a huge population, medical is not that easily affordable or whatever. What message would you like to give mothers out there who are maybe more stressed out than mothers out here? I'm not generalizing, but maybe.
Yeah, of course. No. Yeah, you're right. It is really hard to come by help over there. Um, to the mothers in India and other, countries, I would like to say that, it's never easy being a mother of a special needs kids. And special needs themselves, we we just need to take charge of the situation. First of all, like I said, accepting what is wrong and accepting, because in our countries, be it Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, we don't want to accept,
Yeah.
that something's wrong with our child. And the reality really hits you hard.
Mm.
What I want to also say to them is that don't worry about the social context of
Right.
things. Don't worry about इसने क्या बोला, उसने क्या बोला, वो क्या कहेगा, ये relative क्या सोचेगा. Because at the end of the day, you have to do what is right for your family. You have to do what is right for your situation. और आपकी situation आपके अलावा और कोई नहीं समझ सकता.
True.
So stop comparing your children to others and stop comparing yourself, first of all, to others. That, oh, how can she have two jobs or whatever and still look after the children? Maybe she can. You can't, and that's your reality. So just accept that. Start planning early, start doing things earlier so that you get the help that you need. And start making like a small circle of friends or people who are around you who actually understand you. Even if it's just one person, you need to have that person in your life to talk to.
Absolutely.
And that outlet, that vent.
Has to
And
come.
if you have nobody, whatever faith you're from, whether you're Muslim, Christian, Hindu, whatever you are, just believe in that, because that there is a bigger plan over there, and that is why God has given you this special kid, and that is why you are the mother of that special kid.
Absolutely. Very profound, Pooja. But this kind of puts me into the second thing is, you mentioned about having a close-knit circle of people you can trust, people you can kind of vent out to, just be yourself. But
Yeah.
I think you and I both can agree that there's a lot of internalized judgment within South Asian communities. I've seen that here. I'm sure you must have seen that too.
Yeah.
So in the event that there is internalized judgment within our own brethren here, how do you get past that judgment, and how do you vent out thinking that, okay, this person will not judge me or pass my information out to 10 other people?
Look, knowing our people, that's not going to happen. The judgment is always going to happen, to be honest, because it's Awaz-e-Haqiqat. So I'm saying that it's
Absolutely. Yeah.
And don't be afraid of people judging you. But you know what? Everyone must have heard that saying, be the change you want to see. Be that change. Make sure that you stand up as a pillar. You do the things that are right for your children and your family, for your husband, for yourself as well. If today I, being a special needs mom, if I see somebody else struggling, I help them, and I don't expect anything in return, because I know that nobody helped me. Nobody gave me that information. Nobody gave me those outlets. So just try to be a pioneer, because if each one becomes a pioneer, it's going to change the whole society.
Exactly.
So God has given you this opportunity, this thing that you're struggling with, and it is a huge struggle, but you will come through it. And when you come through it, you are an example to everybody.
Absolutely.
As to what you stand for. Have the faith, have the belief, have first of all the acceptance. And I would like to say this for dads as well. Have that acceptance. Accept your child, accept your family, accept your wife, and then that is the first basis to start off from. Do the research, find the help. It will all come to you.
On that note, Pooja, I mentioned that your husband was very supportive, right? And you just spoke about dads being able to accept that the child has special needs. But probably 6 out of 10 cases, we see that fathers get a little wary, and I've even heard cases where the father left the partner because he couldn't just handle the pressure of having a special needs child.
Yeah.
What happens in that case? No, so now you're a special needs mom, and suddenly now you're a single parent.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that whirlwind of a situation?
Yeah, look, that is something that is devastating. That is something that's devastating. Partner leaving you in any situation would be devastating, and especially when you have a child to look after as well. So I would say in this case, mental health plays a very big role. You need to look after your mental health, first of all. And if your relationship itself, you have to judge, like, whether it's going to work or whether it's not going to work, and whether putting in that hard work right now, and where the hard work is needed. Whether should I put my energies and my hard work into my child right now? Does he need me more, he or she, or does my husband need me more?
Right.
We shouldn't have to mother our husbands, as well as mothering our child at the same time,
Right.
who already has high needs.
Mm.
So you know what, we women are like these you must have seen those performers who juggle so many plates at the same time.
Yeah.
You don't care that one plate is going to fall down. You know what, let it crash. Because when it crashes, you will rebuild and you will build a better thing. So, but you know what, when fathers are helpful, that is the best thing. Like when fathers are helpful and fathers do what fathers are supposed to do, it can make a world of a difference. Like take your child and like be involved in the therapies, be involved, go to the OT, understand what's going on, ask the questions. You will understand what's going on, and then your perception of things will change.
Right.
Want to understand.
Thank you. Absolutely. I so agree with you on that, Pooja. And one last question before we kind of wrap up is, what would be your message to listeners or anyone who
My
might be
message to the
going through a
mothers would
similar
be that
situation as
don't
yours?
think that autism is coming because there is a problem in you or in your DNA, or in your you ate something while you were pregnant, or because you had premature babies, or something like that. Science has not yet proven why autism happens to certain individuals.
Right.
It just happens. Okay. So, and to other mothers who are listening or fathers who are listening, if ever you come across a family that has autistic children, please do not feel embarrassed. Autism have issues, like I have seen children who are normal as well having tantrums in a shopping center for a toy. So it's not just autistic children who have these kind of things. So so many children have learning difficulties or bedwetting. So it's we should not judge children or each other. That's one of the main things. And if you see a mom that is struggling, any mom, be it of a special needs child or any other mom, I would just go up to that mom and say, "Hi, can I help you? Is there anything I can do for you?" Just tap on her shoulder or just tell her that she's doing a good job, that she's doing a great job, that will make her day. That will make anybody's day.
Absolutely. Thank you. And if anyone wants to connect with you or just wants to talk to you, where can they find you on social media?
So on social media, I am Pooja Trivedi. And on Instagram, I am Raising Boys Twin Life.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll send that one to you as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you can put that up.
Thank you, Pooja. This was very heartwarming, inspiring, everything put together. To my listeners, those of you who heard us for the first time, I really, really hope that you had a lot to take away from Pooja's wisdom, experience, and whatever she said about being a special needs parent. If you are unfortunately a single parent who's dealing with a special needs child, what do you need to do? Please don't avoid the telltale signs. Please don't be in denial, because if you are in denial, where will your child go? Who will the child turn to? Right? And if you've heard us for a while, if you've heard me for a while, I hope you like the content that I've been putting out on the table. If you've got any thoughts, feedbacks, or comments, please write to me at Awaz-e-Haqiqat@gmail.com. Or you can also find me on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram as Awaz-e-Haqiqat as well. I look forward to reading your thoughts and comments. On that note, Pooja, thank you so much for joining me on such an informative and an important conversation. And I also believe that we can't have these one-off conversations. These should be had periodically on a regular basis. So probably
I agree. Yes.
Maybe next
Thank
time.
you so much, Chris, for having me. Hope your listeners had a great time. I had a great time talking about things. Thank you.
Thank you.